We call the special governing board meeting of the Lammersville Unified School District to order on Wednesday, November 13th at 6 o'clock p.m. We would like to remind you that this meeting is being live streamed and recorded and ask that you please turn off or silence your cell phones at this time. Item 2, the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 3, roll call.
Lisa Boulay.
Here.
Colin Clements.
Absent.
Daniel.
Here.
Stephanie Olson.
Absent.
David Pombo.
Here.
Devika Vitolani.
Absent.
Item 4, approval and or corrections to the agenda.
There are none.
Can I have a motion to approve the agenda, please?
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Based on a motion by trustee Pombo and seconded by trustee Daniel, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries with 3 ayes and no noes. Item 5, receiving of public comments. Do we have anybody who would like to make a public comment at this time? Seeing none, I'm going to forego reading the paragraph regarding public comments and move on to item 6, interview and selection of provisional board members. I would like to thank Stephanie Olson and Guru Krishnamurthy for applying for this position this evening. The interviewees will have approximately 20 minutes for the interview. We have 9 questions. Each candidate will be getting the same set of questions, and the board members will take turns asking those questions. Sorry, staff report.
So tonight's interviews are the result of an effort to replace trustee Colin Clements, who resigned from the board with a future date of December 21st. This will be a provisional appointment on an at-large seat, which will cease to exist with the coming elections of November of 2026. So this provisional appointment will serve until the statutory date of an ending of a board term in mid-December of 2026. This at-large seat, which is being replaced through this process, will cease to exist with the election in November of 2026 as the district shifts from at-large board positions to area voting. So the November 2026 election will be for Area 4 and Area 5. That is my report.
Thank you. Before we begin the interviews, are there any discussion or comments from the board? Okay, at this time, I would like to invite Stephanie Olson to the podium. Thank you, Mrs. Olson, for being here this evening. I have the first question.
Okay.
Briefly tell us about yourself, how long you have lived in the area, your background, and connections with the district, and any other information you'd like to share.
Okay, so my name, I'm Stephanie Olson, and I have lived in Mountain House since 2007. I have 5 children who have all attended schools or are attending schools in this district. And my background is that I've always had a passion for 2 things, education and law. And I pursued both of those things educationally and got a degree in French and history teaching, then got a master's in language acquisition, and then went on to law school. And during my time in Mountain House, while I was a stay-at-home mom, I devoted a lot of time to community service. I've been on multiple boards in the community. Started with the Little League board, and then in flag football, Mountain House Flag Football Board, and I was the PTO president at Cuesta. I was the parliamentarian there as well for many years. I started the service organization of Mountain House, where we installed little libraries around the community and did the jingle run for a few years. And I was a booster club president at Mountain House High School, and then I started the Sailfish Swim Club. I think that was the right order of things. I was trying to think chronologically. I recently started the Sailfish Swim Club, where we are giving swim lessons and swim team opportunity to students. So those are the things I'm involved with in the community. I try to volunteer wherever I can. I love servant leadership type activities. And most recently, I became a member of the California Bar and a special education teacher. I just finished my master's in special education, and I love doing things for other people. I love helping. I love being a problem solver. And I love this school district and the people who attend school in it.
Thank you.
Hello. Question is, why do you want to be a member of the LUSD Board of Education?
So I kind of spoke to it just in my introduction, that I value servant leadership. And I believe that a member of the Board of Education is a servant leader. It's one of the best ways one can demonstrate what that looks like. And I believe I have the background and knowledge. A board member needs to be able to make informed decisions based on evidence and data and be able to think big picture. I have those abilities. I've enjoyed my time on the board. I don't want it to end. I feel like there's more to be done. And I believe that I would make a good board member because I care about this community, and I have no motive other than making this place the best place it can be, and helping everyone just rise up and grow and thrive.
Thank you.
Hello. What is your understanding of the roles and responsibilities of a board member in a public school district?
So the roles and responsibilities of a board member are primarily to set the vision and ensure that the vision, goals, and mission of the district are fulfilled and aligned with the policies that the board sets. And the board is the governing organization of the school district, so they govern. And they provide oversight and accountability to all of the stakeholders. With the partnership of the superintendent, they set the strategic vision for the district, and then sit back and let the superintendent manage how that gets done. And they have to be a community representative, so they have to know what the community wants and needs. And I think additionally, they evaluate the superintendent and hire one when needed.
Thank you.
The next question is, what previous leadership positions have you held as a professional and or as a volunteer that would be an asset to you in this role?
So I think some of the leadership positions that I've held that are an asset to me are some of the things I mentioned earlier about being PTO president, booster club president, running an organization like Sailfish as the director in charge, where I've done hiring, I've done training of people, and I've built a whole program basically from the ground up. I kind of understand a little bit more what people were saying when they were saying they were building the plane while they were flying it, because we built Sailfish while we were swimming in the pool. Those positions, as well as in my world professionally right now, I am on the instructional leadership team. I'm on my school leadership team. I was selected for a leadership academy that I completed. I was in the second cohort of the STEMline Leadership Academy at Tracy Unified School District, and I am now like part of the group that helps the new cohort, number 3. And I'm also on the negotiations team for my teachers association in Tracy, which has given me some valuable insight and perspective. And I think in all those roles, like what it's taught me is that a leader has to be accountable and own their actions and do nothing or require nothing that they wouldn't expect of someone else. And those have helped me to understand how important a board member being informed and doing the right thing and having the right motive it matters.
Thank you.
Next question. Serving as a board member requires becoming a student of issues. Preparation for each board meeting, study session, and training requires a considerable investment of time to review materials and fully comprehend a multitude of wide-ranging issues. Could you please discuss your ability to fulfill this important investment of time?
Yes, I absolutely have the time. I think I've been doing it for 4 years, and I've come to every meeting prepared because I know that the board meeting is the place where the board members represent. This is where the decisions are made openly and transparently in public, so that there's fairness for all parties with all interests. They come to the board meeting and they know a board member is making their decision in public with information that they have prepared in advance. And so I wouldn't change anything. Were I able to continue on, I would continue to prepare the same way, diligently read, clarify when needed, and ask questions. And I just want to add that my background with law, that's all law is issue spotting, finding issues. And so I'm very well trained at reading through a lot of dense documents and getting to the heart of the matter.
Thank you.
What do you believe are the 3 biggest challenges facing public education?
So public education in general, well, I think that one of the challenges always, and especially in our district, but in all districts, is adequate funding, and funding that district and local control of that funding. I think that most monies come with strings attached, and there's good motives behind that, but there is some uniqueness district to district, and I've observed that personally with my experience in Tracy Unified, comparing it to Lammersville. So I think that that's always going to be a challenge, is like having the appropriate funding. I think another big challenge in education right now is that there's a shortage of teachers. And human capital in all the positions. It's really hard to hire. There's competition for that, and we want to provide the best for our students, and that is a challenge. And so that will be something that districts need to be aware of and make sure that they're prepared to tackle that. Another challenge for public education, I believe, is that the students are different. COVID changed things. We have a different kind of a student. It's just how it is. And so pivoting, we're always having to pivot and grow and adjust to meet the students where they are. And I would like to just add that, as far as Lammersville goes, I mean, our challenges are always unique compared to what we have the same challenges as other public schools, but we also have the additional challenge of being a district that is growing, where most of California is declining. And we're severely underfunded. So that the number one funding decision impacts us in a greater way than I would say other districts. So, that's always going to be our challenge, finding the creative ways to build the schools, get the appropriate money that we deserve, and manage our growth.
Thank you.
This is question 7. What priorities would you like to see the board address during your tenure?
So I want the board to address the vision and mission that they've set with the superintendent, and reach the LCAP goals of closing the opportunity gap and the achievement gap for our students. Continue to create amazing leaders. I think the Drive to 9,000 and the programs that we've done with creating strong leaders in our district is paying dividends, and continue to focus on high quality first time instruction. It matters. I think that the days that our teachers work, which are actually, they have a few more work days on their calendar than many districts around us, I think it makes an impact in what our kids receive in the classroom. And we want to make sure our kids get the best education they can get, and that all students are served in a way that is meaningful to them. And so I want to continue with the work that we are doing in those areas, and also just make sure we get those schools built.
Thank you.
Next question. Board members need to be constantly aware of the possibility of a conflict of interest. Do you have any affiliation, personal or professional, with any outside organization that the district might have dealings with?
No, none that I'm aware of.
Thank you.
The last one. Do you have any questions for the board?
I just can want to say thank you for this opportunity to interview, and I hope that you will give me the opportunity to continue the work that I've been doing already. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Olson. Appreciate your time. Okay, Mr. Guru Krishnamurthy, and can you pronounce your last name for me so I'm sure I get it right?
You got it right, Krishnamurthy. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, welcome. Thank you again for being here, and we will go ahead and start the questions. So the first question, briefly tell us about yourself, how long you have lived in the area, your background, your connections with the district, and anything else you'd like to share.
Absolutely. First of all, thank you for having me here. Really appreciate it. And also thank you for the opportunity to share some of my thought process here as a candidate. So I come from a very lower middle class, humble family back in India. Bulk of my career, I worked in India for companies such as Microsoft, Dell, Cisco, and so on and so forth. I moved to the US in 2015, and I moved to the Mountain House area in 2019, just before the pandemic. And then from my background perspective, I was raised by my grandmother, who was a school teacher at a public school. So I was very fortunate, I should say, that I got an exposure to both teaching as well as the administration of public schools back home. And then teaching became my passion in terms of imparting the knowledge that I knew in various subjects and so on and so forth. So 30 plus years of experience in the technology industry, various roles from a support manager, a service engineer, to a senior director. My last assignment was with the Workday as a senior director for their cloud and platform engineering group. Right now, I've taken a conscious decision to do a consultant job to help companies define their vision and strategy from a services perspective and execute on those vision. At the same time, I'm a founder of a nonprofit organization that is preserving a 2,500-year-old language called Kannada in terms of educating the school children. And for the first time, we had Mountain House High School adopting Kannada as one of the electives recently. So that's where I am, and then really looking forward to this opportunity.
Thank you.
Hello. Next question. Why do you want to be a member of the LUSD Board of Education?
Very good question. I've been in some form or the other associated with education since the beginning, since the childhood, starting from teaching my peers and then helping my grandmother in teaching some of the junior kids and so on and so forth. And then I also managed an education business, full-fledged business, a franchise business. I've trained several technology companies in terms of the networking technology, hardware technologies, and so on and so forth. And then more importantly, the core of myself, is always a teacher who wants to kind of impart and be associated with the education type of activity. So unfortunately, when I came here in 2019, the pandemic hit and I was not a US citizen at that point in time. There were a limited set of opportunities that I could participate in. So thanks to this great nation, and I got my citizenship last year. So that opens up so many opportunities for me to serve the community. It's not just about the American dream of making a career and money and wealth here, but it's also about giving back to the community, what I got from the last 9-10 years from this nation. So, and then I think I see this as an opportunity, great opportunity for me to leverage two dimensions of my experience. One, the professional experience that I have to help companies, kind of define vision, strategy, and establish execution plans and help them to execute on that. And then the nonprofit experience that I got from 2015 till now, in terms of being a chairperson on a board, defining bylaws, and then kind of empowering the committees, executive committees, to deliver on the outcomes and the targeted goals that we had. So when I combine these two together and the passion for education, I see this as a great opportunity. That's why I'm here.
Thank you.
Congratulations on your citizenship, Guru.
Thank you.
Your next question. What is your understanding of the roles and responsibilities of a board member in a public school district?
Yeah, absolutely. So from a board perspective, although the word governing is used here, what it means is basically ensuring that there is a clear vision and strategy, not only the definition from a definition perspective, but also alignment. Everybody understands, the entire school district staff and the administration, everybody needs to understand, align with where we are headed from a vision and mission and the goals perspective. And then more importantly, how does the board enable and empower the superintendent and the entire administration staff to do their job the best? That's primary focus, of course, within the framework of the policies and then the constitution that we define as far as the board is concerned. At the same time, board members need to think long term and then kind of establish some kind of a pathway for the district to do better every year, and then how can the quality bar, not only from an education perspective, but overall the academic excellence and the excellence in various other activities, be it sports or the business acumen or STEM knowledge. How can we raise the bar every year, and be competitive when compared to other school districts? I think it's an empowering role, a supporting role, an enabling role at the same time, just to make sure that everything happens within the boundaries, because we are accountable at the end of the day, both from a fiscal standpoint, the financial standpoint, and also from a compliance standpoint to the state and other authorities on that.
Thank you.
What previous leadership positions have you held as a professional and or as a volunteer that would be an asset to you in this role?
Yeah, absolutely. From a professional work perspective, I talked about my education experience in the commercial sector, in the for-profit sector, where I have been a trainer, I have been a business manager, managing the franchises and so on and so forth, establishing curriculum, and then driving that curriculum from an implementation perspective consistently across multiple franchises back in India for a technology company. Not only that, understanding the students' mindset in what do they expect, how do we impart, what is the best way to reach them, how do we connect with them based on various generations, and then customizing our approach and our teaching methodologies to that one. So that's been pretty much my experience in most of the professional companies that I work for. In the nonprofit, it is all about, you don't have any authority. How do you influence your peers and the board and the community to get certain things done? Because we can't approach through an authority here. You have to influence, you have to build relationships, and then how do we get things done while aligning to a larger mission and a vision. The nonprofit also helped me to be how to be frugal and then how to be responsible, leveraging the donations that come from the community, and then be responsible to leverage that in the right way and providing the services that are required by the nonprofit organization. So again, I think I want to sum it up that a professional experience and a nonprofit experience combined together is what I think is going to help me in addressing or living up to your expectations.
Thank you.
Next question. Serving as a board member requires becoming a student of issues. Preparation for each board meeting, study session, and training requires a considerable investment of time to review materials and fully comprehend a multitude of wide-ranging issues. Could you please discuss your ability to fulfill this important investment of time?
Yeah. So on the professional front, I made a conscious decision a year and a half to come out of the full-time corporate career. As I told you, my last assignment was a senior director at Workday for a reason that I want to be in a consulting position or a consulting role where it gives me enough flexibility about my schedule and the projects that I choose. So I just want to consolidate my 30 plus years of professional experience and about 15, 16 years of nonprofit experience and see, what I can do as a consultant. So that's giving me, in the last 18 months, it's been very successful in terms of giving me enough time for me to focus not only on the consulting projects where I need to earn my living, but also on a lot of nonprofit work. For example, the Kannada Gurukula that we started earlier this year with the help of this board as well as Mountain High School teaching staff was a work of the last 1.5 years for me to really prepare the curriculum, get a accreditation certification from the WASC, ICS, and then kind of making sure that the community understands this, what are we trying to do, and running a pilot batch and so on and so forth. So going forward, I'm going to keep the same model because this is something that I love to do it. It gives me so much of flexibility in sharing my knowledge and the work front, but at the same time giving me an opportunity to serve the community.
Thank you.
Your sixth question. What do you believe are the 3 biggest challenges facing public education?
So the way I look at it as, I guess there are certain, I wouldn't say out of control factors, but there are some external factors affecting the public education, which I think my friend talked about from a funding perspective, and not having enough funding and so on and so forth. But that's always there. I'm sure you guys are experts and you've been probably facing this for quite some time. It is not just today's problem, but probably it's been there for quite some time. If I want to keep that aside and just focus on how I think about some of the key challenges are fundamentally, I think consistency and quality of education as we scale, as we get more number of students, as we expand, how can an 8th grade science lesson taught here is of the same quality, that's taught in another school, in another class, right? What I'm trying to talk about is the minimum set of requirements, the quality bar that is required. I'm not saying being prescriptive about teachers, because each one of them bring their own style of teaching, the innovativeness and the creativity, the knowledge and background and stuff like that. That's not what I'm talking about. Somewhere if it is suffering and somewhere some students are getting a better education, how do we ensure that consistency? In my opinion, what I've observed and heard so far from the community, there is a small consistency gap, the opportunity that we need to address. That's number one. Number two is, I think the public schools have a great responsibility of shaping the future citizens of this nation, not only the future citizens of this nation, but the future citizens for a global village. So we talk about, a global human being, not just from a country perspective. In that context, there are various challenges, which is kind of distraction for kids, which is the social media and the content and the kind of the friends circle they will have in the neighborhoods and stuff like that. This will continue to grow faster. These challenges will grow faster. How can we stay ahead of that in terms of not necessarily we can solve for the entire problem, but how can we work with the community to make sure that the pressure that the students today have from an academic perspective because of the competitiveness, at the same time, how do we kind of help them to be composed, doing the right things at the right time from a values perspective? So how can we inculcate values in our day-to-day experience at schools is something that we may have to think through. This is the second challenge that I see. As far as these two things are concerned, one is the academic excellence, and then the value-based environment and an experience that we can create. Of course, the district is doing extremely well in all extracurricular activities, be it DECA or HOSA or sports and stuff like that. I really love the kind of energy and excitement that's around all these activities. They are the right things to do, but there are certain fundamental things that we need to tackle and stay ahead of it. So that's what I believe.
Thank you.
Okay, this is question 7. What priorities would you like to see the board address during your tenure?
Yeah, I think I want to build upon what I said just before this in terms of the consistency. and then the values. How can we inculcate some of the values and engage the youth, to be more sensitive and also be very responsible. I think the third thing that I mentioned in my application as well is there is an opportunity to bring academia and industry together. I'm sure it's happening in few pockets. I'm not saying it's not happening at all. Whether somebody is taking an engineering pathway or a biomedical pathway or a finance or a business pathway and so on and so forth, especially from a high schooler's perspective, or even for the middle schoolers that are aspiring to go into that pathway eventually, there is definitely an opportunity to bring in the industry, share some of the things that what's happening. What is AI, for example? I'm just saying, so how can we explain in a layman language what is AI? What are the things that it can do? What could be the future, with this particular technology? I heard while I was at DECA mini-comp, I was one of the judges, and I really appreciate for the opportunity. Recently, I had many of my co-judges who are in that field who are kind of talking about so many new things. And then I felt that, if we had provided that information to some of these DECA, participants, the experience would have been much better. So there is an opportunity to bring in the academia and the industry together around this.
Thank you.
Next question. Board members need to be constantly aware of the possibility of a conflict of interest. Do you have any affiliation, personal or professional, with any outside organization that might have dealings, that the district might have dealings with?
No, sir, not that I'm aware of. There's one nonprofit work that I'm doing just from a language research and development perspective that has no conflict with whatever the board is expected to do, and the other side is just my work, which is more of a consulting for technology companies. Yeah.
Thank you.
Last question. Do you have any questions for the board?
Yeah, definitely. I think, I'm looking at it from an outside in view perspective on the challenge. So if one of you can articulate, I don't want to take too much of your time. I know you're all busy at a long day. What is the biggest challenge that you're trying to solve for, as far as the district is concerned?
I think if we go back to and look at our LCAP, we have 3 goals that we're working on. And the first one, goal number 1, is closing the opportunity gap. So we have been working very, very hard on that. But both of our candidates also addressed one of our biggest goals or biggest challenges is funding. Yeah. So the way that the funding formula is set up is challenging for our district. So that's definitely one of our biggest challenges. Does anybody else want to add a comment?
That is.
Okay.
Cool.
Do you have any other questions?
No, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Yeah, the funding goes on site. That's the fundamental, everlasting challenge with the inflation and the kind of work that the board needs to do. Thank you so much for your opportunity.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You may have a seat in the audience. Okay, at this time, we will move on to item 7, open nomination for provisional board member appointment. Before we begin nominations for this appointment, I'd like to open it up for discussions. Do any of the board members have any thoughts or comments they wish to share?
I would just like to say both of the candidates I thought they did well with their answers and interviewed well, and I thank them both for their interest and their time.
I would like to thank both of you to be there. And I have been there 3 years back, and I know the amount of prep and the paperwork, the documentation that goes behind it. So I appreciate all the effort that you put in, and looking forward to serving. Thank you so much for your time and effort.
And I would like to echo what my fellow board members said. I think we have 2 very good candidates here tonight. Both candidates, I think, interviewed very well, and you both have lots of experience with education, with leadership. And one of the things I heard a lot about was being servant leaders. So lots of work with volunteer activities and nonprofit organizations. So again, thank you for all you've done for the community already up to this point. And again, we appreciate your being here. Okay, at this time, I will accept a nomination for the provisional board member appointment.
I'd like to nominate Stephanie Olson for the provisional board member appointment.
Okay. We can now move on to item 8, a motion for provisional board member appointment. Ed Code 5091 through the next general election of the governing board, November 2026. Seat is through December 2026, effective December 18th, 2024, with a nomination for Stephanie Olson. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes with 3 ayes and no noes. Congratulations to Stephanie Olson. And again, Mr. Krishnamurthy, thank you so much for being here this evening, and we appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir.
In a moment, we will adjourn to closed session where we will be discussing item A, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, section 54956.9, with one case. And I will entertain a motion to adjourn to closed session
Move to adjourn.
Second.
with a motion made by trustee Pombo and seconded by trustee Daniel. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are now adjourned at 6:36 p.m.